Welcome, Barbara.
Hi, thank you. It's great to be here.
Barbara's going to be one of our authors at the Spring Book Bash that takes place on April 25th. That's a Saturday from 11 to 5. And it's downtown Greer over in the Randall House this time. So, new location, but just as many authors as we had at our fall one. And so, so much exciting things going on.
Yeah.
Uh, we're going to have a big variety of authors and genres and all that fun stuff. Barbara, tell us about what you're going to be bringing.
Okay, so you can see some of the covers behind me here. I have a fantasy trilogy called The Watchers of Moniah, and the first book is over here. Let me see if I can get my finger on the screen. I can't see the whole thing, but that says The Watchers of Moniah. Just think Mariah Carey, but Moniah. Um,
Oh,
And then right behind my head is The Watchers in Exile, which is the second book. And then the one over my other shoulder is The Watchers at War, which is the final book in the trilogy. I also have two short story collections. One is called Pieces of Her. Being a Woman is Not for the Faint of Heart. And yeah,
true story.
and it is more contemporary fiction
Hmm.
as opposed to fantasy, although there are a couple of fantastical tales in there too. And then the other one, which is my most recent book, is The Nature of the Beast. And the idea behind those short stories is not all beasts hide in the dark. And so they're all speculative fiction, and they kind of range from light fantasy to uh, maybe some harder fantasy to a couple that are borderline maybe horror.
Oh,
So, which I did not know until recently that I could write that because I sure don't like
live
to
you
watch it.
learn.
Yeah, I don't like to watch it, but then I don't like to watch like the really big, like there's a big one coming out very soon that's getting a lot of um, advertising. I don't want to start saying names of things right now,
Yeah,
but um, that's not my thing. It's never
yeah.
been my thing. So, but it was the big horror story in there was started out to be a fantasy book, a fantasy story, and it just got darker and darker. I didn't think it was a horror story till somebody said, "This is a great little horror story." It's like, "Oh, I guess they're right."
It
But
jumped.
yeah, but that's what I'm bringing. I was hoping I'd be able to bring Giraffing Around, which is a middle grade nonfiction book about giraffes, because you might be able to guess from the book covers, you can see that there are giraffes in my fantasy.
Hmm.
Um, so far, I've been running into some issues with the printing of this book because it's got a lot of photographs in it. So
Uh,
it was supposed to have come out last year, and I was not satisfied with the publisher's printing. And I haven't gotten that resolved yet, not because I've been hitting up a bunch of publishers or printers and it going wrong. Just a lot of things in our family kind of went wackadoodle. And until I
okay.
could devote time to it, I wasn't going to do it. So hopefully I'll be starting to work on that. So there's always a chance I might have it in April. And
You
then
never
again,
know.
you never know. You never know. But I will have those five books. So I'm looking forward to talking to people about my books.
Awesome. So, with your books, what do you have in the works aside from giraffing around? What else do you have in the works?
So some of you may notice that I look a little purple in the screen here. Now, Mandy Jo and I could not figure out what is going on with my camera today because she has interviewed me before and we did not have this problem.
No,
I have
with
been on
my
so many
software.
different podcasts and interviews, and I looked not blue, not not purple. So, but for whatever reason, I am purple, and I told her, I said, "Well, we can say it's in honor of my work in progress because it's called Plunged in Purple, and it is a contemporary fantasy set in the Blue Ridge Mountains." And it's the Matriarch Enchanter series. The first book is going to be obviously Plunged in Purple. And it is kind of a mix between Discovery of Witches and hints of Red Riding Hood and hints of kind of um, magical academy type of thing. Not
Mhm.
Harry Potter, because that was an actual school, but more about learning. Really, Discovery Witches. She was kind of learning in that series too, also. But it's got little elements of that, and
Mhm.
um, the tagline to that one so far, that could change, of course, is her mother told her never to wear purple, and then she did.
Ooh.
So, and of course, I could say the purple's in just in honor of Mandy Jo. Because if you know Mandy Jo and you've been around her long enough, or if you ever meet her, I guarantee you she's going to be wearing purple. So,
This is true.
mhm,
Purple polo, purple hoodie.
yeah, purple banner on the show here, all that stuff.
Yep. Yes, I very much go for the purple, which was completely by accident, in fact.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't even a planned thing. It was one book turned into the next book, and oh yeah, we got purple going on, and it snowballed from there. So
Well, they say purple is one of the most popular colors for book covers in fantasy right now, which
that's good.
here's let me see if I can get my camera to show it to you. The nature of the beast is not going to show up unless I turn off my background. And I'm not going to do that because you don't want to see what's behind me. But the nature of the beast is also a purple cover. So,
Ah,
and obviously, when Plunged in Purple comes out, they will be purple on that cover.
well, yeah, because that would just make sense.
Yeah. No, we're going to make it red.
Yeah, or go for a totally different color, and you'll make it green.
Yeah. Or yellow.
So you've got your 3 books behind you.
Hmm.
What can you share with potential readers
Hmm.
about those books? What should they know?
Okay. So, if, if you come up to me at the event, I will probably say this specific set of words to you because I've found over the years it's the easiest way to explain the books. You have a warrior princess, a dying queen, a shocking deathbed decree, a
Mm.
traitor returned from the dead, and telepathic giraffes.
Okay, the last one would rope me in. I mean,
And that's what happens a
telepathic.
lot of times. Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of people say, you had me at giraffes. You know,
yeah.
and a lot of times they're grinning at me through the whole thing, and sometimes I play up that last line a little bit and just, "Are you ready? Aren't you? I don't think you're ready. You're not ready for this, but I'm going to say it." And I get mixed reactions, but a lot of
Hmm.
chuckling and things along those lines. Um, Ironically, when I wrote the series, when I started writing it, I thought my target market was like 20 to 30-year-old women,
Hmm.
and granted, they do read it, although I found 20 to 30-year-old men read it more than women. The older women tend to
Really?
read it, like women in their 40s and 50s and 60s are enjoying the books. But here's the interesting thing is it's the teenagers, the
Ah.
teenage girls go, "Ooh," and then they look at mom and they're like, "Can I have all three?" And
Yes.
sometimes it depends on what's going on. Sometimes moms say yes, sometimes they say no. I have a lot of people who are like, "Ooh, so and so likes giraffes." Now,
Mm,
one of the things that's interesting is I've been to enough events multiple years where I'm getting people who are like, "I have this series." I'm like, "You do?" And they're like, I said, "Did you get them from me here?" They're like, "No, my sister gave them to me. I think she got them from you here." I said, "Well, have you read them?" "No." "Well, you should read them." But I
I've
do
read the
have,
series, but I haven't read it.
yeah.
Hmm.
But the one thing that I have been very thrilled to be able to say, especially when it's the teenagers and their parents are standing there,
Mhm.
especially I would say these are not short books and they're not
Mhm.
written in a young adult voice,
Mhm.
but the protagonist is 15 when the series starts.
Mm,
By the end of the first book, she's 18. But
okay.
so a lot of people automatically say they're YA just because of that.
Mm.
But the voice isn't YA. But the parents will look at me and say, "Is this okay for her?" And I've been able to say without a doubt, absolutely. I
That's
kept
good.
I kept it clean on purpose because I didn't want anybody to not read the books due to language
Mm.
or graphic, spicy stuff.
Okay.
So you don't you have a an attraction between Adana, who is the protagonist, and Kiffin, who is kind of your male protagonist. But
Mhm.
the most that happens is in the third book. It's behind closed doors, and they are
Mm.
married.
Ah,
So
yeah.
I tell people, I said, it's more, the third book's The Watchers at War. It is about betrayal. It is about a traitor coming in and trying to take over. There are battles. People are going to die, sometimes horrifically, but it's
Mhm.
not glorified. And,
Okay.
that's the one thing I've been able to say to people is, look, they're clean books. They're
Mhm.
accessible. And I tell them, just so you don't misunderstand, those of you who are listening to this, is if you got a kid who's 12, 13, 14, and you think they might like this, the next question you have to ask yourself is, are they an avid reader?
Mm.
If
Yeah.
they are, then yes. If they're not, I'd wait a couple more years
Okay.
just because they're not short books,
Yeah.
you know. But if they're avid and they gobbled up, everything they read Aragon without batting an eye or something like
Mhm.
yeah, they could probably handle these books. The third one's the longest one, but
Okay.
it's not a whole lot long. I mean, the first book was about 96,000 words.
Mhm.
That's a pretty lengthy book, just so you know.
Yeah.
The second book's slightly shorter. The third book's 116,000 words.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so they're right there at that 100,000, which is typically what the adult fantasy genre is looking for, right around
Mhm.
that 100,000 word mark.
Yeah.
If you move into urban or something like that, sometimes it's a little less than the 100,000. But,
Mhm.
most fantasy books in the adult genre, that's the
Mhm.
sweet spot.
So, with your books, you've got your trilogy, you've got short stories, you've got your works in progress. Do you plot all of this? Are you a passionate plotter or do you just pants it and just write?
So when I have an idea,
Mhm.
I know I kind of have an idea of where it's starting and I have
Mhm.
an idea of where it's going to end, but I have no clue what's going on in the middle yet. And
Mhm.
so I start with that idea, and I may know a couple of milestones in there, but what happens in between happens organically. So
Okay.
I am more of a pantser. That
Mhm.
said, you've got an epic fantasy trilogy. You get down to that third book. Um, Epic fantasy tends to have several storylines.
Yep.
And so I had all these storylines and I had to write that final book. And so I made a bare bones outline.
Mm.
And literally it was bare bones. Um, I don't even know if I still got it anywhere, but it was maybe like 10 lines long. It
Oh,
was
okay.
very long, but it's what I needed to be sure that I closed up every storyline in there. We call them story
Mm.
arcs for those of you that
Mhm.
if you're familiar with talking to writers, but there were several story arcs. Some of them crisscrossed over each other, but I needed to be sure. And in fact, I was sitting there writing it one day and I went, oh, I left out Quilla. So I had to go and insert Quilla in. I was like, what's Quilla doing? Quilla is one of the bad people, and we need to know what's Quilla up to because she's an essential part of this story. So, and I had just totally, mainly because if you notice the Watchers at War, I'm going to let's see, lean that way. You see
Mhm.
the back of three women,
Mhm.
and the middle one is Adana.
Mhm.
the woman on the right would be, depending on what role she's playing at the time, she may be Shanna, she may be Lady Elaine of Glenhaven,
Oh.
or she may be, because she is a pretty good doppelganger to Adana, she may be pretending to be Adana.
Ah.
But the woman on the other side
Mhm.
is Princess Lyra. And one of the things that happens in the first book is Adana, because of the deathbed decree and the
Mhm.
traitor come return from the dead, she is sent for her protection to the kingdom of Elwar, and Lyra is a princess in Elwar. Quilla is Lyra's mom, so but
Ah.
Elwar is their ally. It's just
Okay.
Quilla's kind of added in. Well, the father is the king, and Quilla, so, but Lyra is a character who starts out not being people's favorite, but in a lot of cases, people really fall in love with Lyra because, and that third book, I had to occasionally go, Lyra, stop. Shanna, stop. This is a Donna story. Go away. Their story arcs were going bananas. And I
Mhm.
love what happened with both of them. And I could not do this book cover without all three of them on the cover.
Mhm.
So there's some slight differences between Adana and Shanna, for example, in appearance. But one of the things that they had going for them is Adana spent 3 years in Elwar and then she's returning. And so the people in Moniah haven't seen Adana for 3 years.
Mm.
So you can slide a Shanna in there and people don't know the difference because they
Yeah.
haven't seen her in 3 years. So it's an interesting play, and I had no idea when I started writing Shanna in the first book that she actually was a look-alike to Adana until the line came out. I told you there was someone who looked like her. So
Mm.
something like that. And I was like, oh, okay. What do we do with this? This is interesting. I'm sure I can use this. So,
So, who does your book covers?
mm, there is a company. I've heard different people say where they're from. Finland, Denmark, somewhere in that vicinity,
Mhm.
called Miblart, Miblart, Miblart.
Mhm.
They created these covers. These are not the original covers. I won't go into the details, but I did have a publisher previously. Had to
Mhm.
get my rights back and republish them myself.
Okay.
So I redid the covers at that point, and Miblart asked for some suggestions and some guidelines,
Mhm.
and they did pretty good. I would have been a little happier. There was a different thing I wanted on the third book, but the artist just could not get it. He
Mm.
There's a dress that Adana does wear. Normally she's in tunic and leggings and all that because she's a warrior and a
Mhm.
princess. But there's a dress she wears in the Watchers at War, and she's standing on the parapet of border border keep there,
Mhm.
and there is a scene where she's standing on there and she's in this dress and she's ripped the hem out because she's got to climb the ladder to get up there, and they're under
Mhm.
attack and everything. And I wanted that, but
Mhm.
he kept drawing basically a lady's satin nightgown from today. And I kept sending him pictures and giving him, and I say he, I don't know who the designer was, to be honest, but
Mhm.
just the way the drawings kept coming back, I felt like it was a guy drawing them. And I apologize, Miblart, if it was not a guy. But I finally said, you know what, just put her in the uniform because the other two aren't even on the parapet at the time. That
Yeah.
scene, there are covers on your books that are not necessarily scenes from the books.
Yep.
And that scene does not really occur in the book. Uh, but you do at times have Lyra up there and you have Adana up there. Um, I don't think Shanna ever stands up there. I don't think
Mm.
she ever made it to the border keep, but I could be, no, she's never been in the border keep. But it makes for an interesting cover. And, it's a little different. The first cover has Adana and the giraffe, and I'm
Mhm.
going to duck out of the way. The second cover has
Oh,
Adana
yes.
and the giraffe.
Mhm, mhm,
And
mhm.
so people said on the third cover, "What happened to the giraffe?" I said, "Well, how are you going to put the giraffe up on a parapet in the castle? The giraffe is down there, but
Yeah,
we can't do
you're
that. So
yeah.
we're going to do it this way." So, um, but yeah, they did a wonderful job. Um, my other two books, which if this image was bigger, they actually are in the background I have, but they just aren't showing up in the image here.
Oh,
So
yeah, I can see them in the
you
back.
can see them, yeah.
I can see
So
them.
I can I can try once again to see if I maybe
If
if
you
I
hold them low, they might be able to blend in.
there we go. Okay. Pieces of Her. This is the contemporary fiction short story collection. This cover I created.
Oh, okay.
Um, there's a long story about Amazon giving me fits about it, but they accepted that one. Um, this one is The Nature of the Beast. So you've got all sorts of beasts in there.
Mhm.
And a company that's under the umbrella of Miblart called Get Covers did the
Okay.
Nature of the Beast cover. And I'm really thrilled with what they did with that cover. But
Mhm.
with Get Covers, see, I could give Miblart a concept and they would give me ideas.
Yeah.
With Get Covers, you have to tell them what you want.
Oh,
So you have to
okay.
know exactly what you want. And I mean, that was the fifth book I did, so I knew what I wanted, so I was feeling comfortable with it, and it's obviously a lot less expensive if they're
Yeah.
not coming up with concept ideas for you, whatever. But I wouldn't do that with all my books because a lot of times I need to rely on their expertise and what's working in the publishing
Mm,
market at the time. And most of the really well-known cover designers are keeping their finger on the pulse of what's going right now,
mm.
whether it's fantasy or mystery or horror or whatever, what are current book covers looking like, because you don't want to come out with a book cover from the 1970s, for example. um,
Not unless it's a retro book.
yeah, not unless it's a retro book. You just don't want to do that,
Yep.
because it's gonna scream, hey,
I haven't read a book since the 70s.
And I will say, doing that cover for Pieces of Her, I bought the image
Mhm.
and I used a software called BookBrush, which
Mm, mhm.
um, a lot of people like Canva.
Yep.
BookBrush is like Canva, but specifically for authors. And
Mhm.
it has templates in place already, whereas Canva, you have a little more design freedom, whereas you have a
Mhm.
lot of design freedom in BookBrush, but BookBrush kind of lays it nice and neat for you. So I prefer BookBrush for that simple reason, and a lot like
Mhm.
the image even behind me, I did in BookBrush.
Mm,
So,
mhm.
um, and like I said, if you show up, I think I have postcards with that image on there. It has all the books, and
Mhm.
let's see if I rotate, you see my name and my website's there and all that kind of stuff. So, but in a little window, not so much.
Oh, I absolutely love your covers. They've turned out so well, and they
Thank
really
you.
are eye catchers. I mean, they're something that when someone sees them, they're gonna be like, "Wow."
Yeah, I appreciate that very much because it was one of the things when I did get the right to publish back, or the right to print, or what is it? It's not the rights, it's the license, I think. I
Mhm.
forget. There's legal jargon that we
Yeah.
misuse all the time when we talk about this. But I knew that was, although I had gotten the permission to use the existing covers,
Mhm.
I felt like the existing covers gave a middle grade vibe.
Ah, okay.
And so I decided, no, we're going to, because I was tired of people with 6-year old children saying, can my kid read this book? Should I get this book for my kid? I'm like, no, no, they won't understand it. You can
Yeah.
get it,
Yep.
and wait a little while, So, but yeah, I think the youngest I've ever had was an 11-year-old, but it was a very mature, avid reader, 11-year-old. A good friend of mine who's a local author. got it for his granddaughter when she was 11, and he
Mm.
told me she read all 3 of them in less than a week.
Wow.
So, she just gobbled them up. I said, "Okay, that's an avid reader.
Yeah, that's
That's an
I
avid reader."
wow.
Mhm.
I know of adults that couldn't do that.
Oh, I know, I know. I'm married to one. I didn't say that. Just cut
Nope.
that. Some people
But
just don't like to read, and I get it.
yeah,
I completely get it. That's why, when people come around, the first thing I'm gonna say to you is, "What do you like to read?"
yeah,
And if they say, "I really like, um, 18th century history, military," I'm gonna go, "Well, unless you want fantasy military, I probably am not the person you wanna talk to. So I'm not gonna waste your time, on that." But, it's kinda interesting, a lot of people say, "Well," and they're there at a book fair.
yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, I don't read." I'm like, "Oh, who dragged you along?"
Oh, so you're someone's
Someone's fetching
you're the
carry.
designated driver.
Yeah. Yeah, because 'cause they're gonna be drunk on all the books I bought. So, but, I mean, I always do that, and especially I go to a lot of the science fiction fantasy cons, and not
Mhm.
everybody there who wanders through, the vendor booths are there for books. Not everybody is.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, depends on the convention, that some of them keep all the authors in one area, some of them sprinkle us throughout or whatever.
Mhm.
But, I know not everybody walking up there is there to get a book.
Yeah.
So, I find it's an easy way to find out, am I talking to a reader?
Mhm.
Or, and depending on the time of year, I might push a little harder and say, well, what about someone you need to buy a gift for? You
Yeah.
know, but I'm not, I'm not about hard sell. I'm going
No.
to tell you about the book. I'm going to let you look at the book. I'm going to let you read some of the book. I'll even let you sit down and read a little bit if you want to, but it's up to you what you want to do. I completely get it, because twisting someone's arm to buy a book doesn't work.
No.
That's going to be a doorstop.
Yeah. Well, and if they come to our event in
Mhm.
April, it is all books.
Right.
We
Except for
do
some food, right?
yes, we do have a mini pancake vendor, and then we have a non-alcoholic beverage bar. Um, so those 2 are to keep you walking around well hydrated, well fed. So there's always that, but the primary focus is on our authors and the variety.
Mhm.
There's gonna be and I'm gonna cheat and check out my spreadsheet because I can.
Yeah, I looked at the list and you've got some different names from last time.
Yes, we have a lot of different names
And
from
that
last
was
time.
exciting because you want to see
Yes.
it kind of change up.
And so we've got around 55 different genres,
Wow.
132 book titles, and that's not including me. I didn't put myself in the stats. So
Okay.
I'll have 5,
Mhm.
um 5? Yeah, 5, book titles to add to that. We've got 31 authors plus myself, and then 8 different states represented.
That's pretty impressive for something in little old Greer, South Carolina.
Right?
Yeah. And actually, the interesting thing is, I keep driving there. It's like, I need to figure out where that Randall House is. Yes.
Well, A, it's right on Randall Street, so
Well, that
there's
helps.
that. It's right on Randall Street, and it's between Main and Trade.
Between Maine and
So
Trent.
Main is also 14,
Uh-huh.
and it's
Okay.
before you hit Trade Street. I know there's some other streets in between there. I don't remember what they are,
Mhm. Well, you
but
probably, is it off of Victoria Street? Because there is one point where, if you're coming up 14 or Main Street from
mhm.
the interstate, there's a turn to the right. I think there's a church there. There's an insurance company there in an
Well,
old
when you're
white house. Mhm.
no, no,
Okay.
no, no, that is actually
That's
that
Victoria Street.
that turns into Trade Street.
Okay.
So if you're going up 14 and you take the curve and you stay in the right-hand lane, it will dump you onto Randall Street.
Got it. Okay. I was looking too
And
far
then
up.
as um you're going down across Randall Street, then it's going to be on your left hand side. There's parking on both sides of the street. There's parking beforehand. There's parking after. Um, there's all kinds of parking all over. It's also the same day as Greer Goes Global.
Yeah, I was gonna
So,
start to jump in and say, and don't forget, it's not but a short walk from the Greer
yes.
festival that's going on in the parks.
And that's the great thing is that the city of Greer is so walkable
Mhm.
that you can park pretty much anywhere in the downtown area, and it's not going to take you very long to get
Mm.
to anything.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
really easy.
you can we're right off of Trade Street. Trade Street is probably the closest
Mhm.
North South Street that we are next to. There's like the buildings that face Trade, and then there's one more building, and then us.
Okay.
So really close to Trade Street. It's on the north side of the road, or on your left if you're coming in off
Um,
of 14.
for those
For
who are compasly challenged.
That's why I added that. And there's just so many places to park, whether you're parking
Mhm.
in the parking deck or you're parking over by the depot. There's parking all over the place.
Yeah, and not
And
only that, I mean, you've got I'm glad you're bringing back the non-alcoholic beverage person because I didn't
yeah,
get a chance to get that last time. I was that busy.
well, it's a different
Oh,
one.
it is? Okay. But
So
still, I
we
get to try
have
it.
yes, we both of our vendors are different vendors than we had
Okay.
last time.
Okay.
So we still have mini pancakes, but it is a different mini pancake vendor. This one is Pancakes in Paradise.
Ooh.
Yes. And the non-alcoholic beverage bar is actually Sippin' Ain't Easy.
Oh, I like that. I like that. I
It's a
always love word puns. Those
yeah,
always make me happy. So, but what I was going to say is those are obviously not meals. But the
no,
cool thing is Trade Street has tons of restaurants.
yes,
Tons of restaurants, and even over next to the park, there are a few more restaurants.
yeah,
So, if you come you could spend the whole day. You could eat your lu
yes,
you could even come early enough to have your breakfast,
yep,
because there's some coffee shops down there, there's some lunch places. Of course, we're starting at what, 10 or 11? I forgot.
11.
11, yeah, so your breakfast might be before then.
Customers at 11.
Yeah, customers at 11. So, but you could spend the day there, and there's a lot of neat little shops you can wander through, but this is of course after you come and buy your books.
Yeah, yes. Have breakfast,
Mhm.
come over, do all kinds of shopping, have your snacks, have some more, have some pancakes. The mini pancakes, they put all kinds of toppings on them.
Mhm.
It's just absolutely wonderful.
I know they were good last year, so if they're anything like that,
They are.
that's I did get that. I
Well,
saw
you
two
were down by
people.
them last year.
Huh?
You weren't too far from them last year.
No, I wasn't, and people kept walking past me with it. And it's like, what? It's like, when you walk into the movie theater and you smell popcorn,
Mhm.
and you weren't gonna get popcorn, but now
Yep.
you got to because you smell popcorn. Or
Yep.
you go into a restaurant and you smell the french fries or something like
Oh,
that,
yes.
and all of a sudden something you weren't planning to get, you end up giving in.
Or back in the day, you're walking through the mall and all of a sudden you smell pretzels.
Okay. Yeah. The pretzels came along after I was done walking through the mall so much. I did a stint of about 5 months in retail at
Mm,
the mall here, the main mall here in Greenville
mhm.
during Christmas.
Oof.
So anybody who's done retail during Christmas can say, "Enough said. We understand, Barbara." Um,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
will. I will go in under protest or under absolute necessity, but I do not like to go.
Yeah.
And if I go, I prefer to go like if it's I'll go into like the department store that I can go in, deal with what I need to, and go out without ever hitting the mall.
Yeah,
But if the
totally
grandkids are,
understand.
if the grandkids are with me, all of a sudden we're going and getting pretzels.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Oh yeah, the pretzels are always good. But we're gonna have the mini pancakes, so they're only about probably about
yeah,
this big around.
like what we used to call silver dollar pancakes.
Yes. And you can there's various sizes, amounts of
Mhm.
pancakes that you can get, and then all kinds of toppings.
Yeah.
And then the non-alcoholic beverage bar that we've got, I'm not quite sure what all they're gonna have, but they had a cider this fall that was just delicious. So I'm hoping they might bring that. But
I wonder if they
cider's hard
will
to
in
find.
April. In April, they might not, but it would be nice if they did because I'm good for a cider anytime.
Me too.
So, but there are spring flavors, I'm sure. So,
I'm sure there are. Yep. So we're gonna have a bunch of fun.
mhm.
So um, we're gonna have tons of books. We're gonna have all kinds of people there, and I'm looking forward to seeing you once again.
Yes, I'm looking forward to. So,
And
I
so
know
it.
I do a giveaway at
Mhm.
my table. So if you come to my table, there's a way to get entered in the giveaway, and somebody who comes to the event that enters my giveaway will walk away with a great prize. I don't know what it is yet, but they will. And I don't. Are we doing a big one or not?
We are doing the big one.
Okay.
So we've got a big overall. It's called the Passport to Reading.
Ah.
So everyone will. It's basically on an app
Hmm.
or in your browser, and everyone is able to scan it and sign up. And as they visit all of the authors, they will get a code from the author, which the authors get the codes the morning of. And you fill in the code from the author and however many books that you buy from the author. So you get one entry per author and you get one entry per book that you buy.
Mhm.
So if you buy the trilogy, then you get three extra entries for a total of
Better
four.
yet, do my super bundle and get all 5 books.
Oh, then you get
And you get the author entry and the 5 books. That gets you 6 entries altogether.
yes.
And last year, I mean, there were masses of books donated to this that,
Hmm.
and most of them were new books, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, and so the people who walked out with prizes walked out with quite a load of reading. Um,
Well, and the thing is that the books that are in the book boxes are
mhm.
only from the authors in attendance for that event. We
Okay.
don't hold over any books so that you chances are you walked by that author and you talked to them. And
Mhm.
so we have quite the variety though. And if you're present, you don't have to be present to win. We do the drawing about 4:45. You don't have to be present to win, but if you are, then I don't have to be able to close that box.
And she's serious about that, y'all, because
Yeah,
those boxes
yeah.
are
I
full.
don't
We
have.
had like 4 or 5 boxes of books last year, and we're talking
Yeah,
like computer paper boxes, aren't we?
they are the large um boxes that you get from the post office that are one rate.
Okay.
I take full advantage of that one rate.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mailing them, I don't have to close the boxes.
Yeah. That's right.
So there can be, it the books will be however many we can fit into each. We generally do 3 boxes, so we'll see how, because I
Mhm.
always want people to get nice full boxes.
Right.
And the authors donate the books.
Mhm.
It's completely optional. If they want to donate and how many books they want to donate. I leave it up to the authors. I never check, so I have no idea if the author donated, how many they did. I have no idea.
Yeah, and last year, I want to say I put 2 books in, and one of mine was The Blind Date with the Book, so it was
Hmm.
pre-wrapped, and my blind dates with the book always have extras hidden inside the packaging. So whoever got those got some extra
Hmm.
stuff. So
Ah.
so there's your extra plus because a lot of times I will do blind date with a book. If you're not familiar with that, the book's wrapped up and it's kind of like, okay, do you want to take a chance? It's nicely wrapped. There's some neat little extras tucked in. So you're not just paying for the book, you're paying for some extras. I had people buy to give them as gifts because they were already wrapped. So I would pull it out. I have probably one in my kit, but my kit's in the closet. And then, no, I'm not going to go in there. But I have nice paper that I wrap them in, so it looks nice. It's not just brown paper bag for me. Some people use like just brown butcher
Hmm.
paper.
Yeah.
I use that kind of paper because you need the stiffness, but I use a patterned
Mm.
one. And
Ah.
so, and in fact, the pattern I have right now has pretty flowers on it.
Mm.
So,
Nice. Well, we are going to have tons of fun at the end of April. So we encourage everybody to come. And I want to thank you for taking the time to join me here and tell us what you're bringing and all that fun stuff.
well, thank you so much. It was great to be here, and I look forward to meeting all sorts of people in April.
I will see you then.